Right. This is a commentary with the directors and actors of our opening of a thriller film sequence. Yep, I'm George Matthews.
I'm Ben Cosworth.
Danny Hammond.
And I'm Ryan Curry. Me and George are the directors, and these two are our actors. And they help with cinematography and other aspects.
Just general design stuff.
Yeah.
The first convention we decided to adapt and challenge would be a red herring. In most films, a red herring would be the part of a minor object or a character, which, while having a main part in the storyline, does not actually entice the viewers to watch it as much. In our one, however, we decided to make the red herring a much more prominent feature. To do this, we used the main killer, who is currently unnamed. He's the guy that wears the mask and the suit and kills Danny's character. But we set it up so that throughout the opening, the viewers believe that he is going to be the main pivotal villain in our thriller film. And then his eventual insinuated demise would leave them reeling and wanting to watch more. The red herring is two parts then, in all fairness, the killer and his pocket watch, whose scenes we are planning to do are going to add a lot to our thriller.
Next convention we focused on was Pathetic Fallacy. We conformed to this convention by doing two things. The first one we were quite lucky with, it was the weather. Most of our weather was grey and overcast, and so it made you think of something sad and, well, just general bad thoughts. The second thing we had was the location. One of our locations was a graveyard, which made you think about death, which was quite a common feature in the film, considering the one of our main characters, Danny, ended up dying in the film.
Basically, Enigma Code helps deliver the functions of mystery and the unknown, and allows us to develop the main character of the murderer, who we remain nameless at the moment because we don't want the audience to know much about it. So, yeah. Another convention that we used and kind of challenged in our thriller opening sequence is lighting. Now, at the beginning of our scene, at the beginning of our opening sequence, we saw really dark shades of light. We kind of blocked out all the light using the blinds in the room, tried to make it dark and dingy to show that's Enigma Code and to show that it's dark, mysterious, kind of playing on the connotations of death, you know, all the dark side of sort of things that we tried to pick up on later on in the film. So after that scene, we kind of go into natural lighting, which kind of fights the conventions, because from a thriller film, you usually expect dark places when the chase usually is taking place in natural lighting. So that's kind of going against the conventions, but the chase is still very powerful with the diegetic sound of Danny's breath under the bridge and stuff like that, and we can see the lighting coming through. Even though it's natural lighting, it could seem really upbeat. It's cloudy. It mixes in with prophetic fallacy, and it really connotates, you know, something's going to happen to this boy. That at the end of this chase, something's going to happen. Towards the end of the film, when we go into the graveyard, yet again we have natural lighting. We don't do anything with the lighting in it, but there was a really good effect that we managed to pick up with Ben's legs as he was walking with Danny on his shoulders. That his legs kind of disappear, which could connotate mystery, and as I was saying, the fading legs could show the fading of the character himself, even though we originally, as the audience, thought that the character was evil and bad. He's kind of fading from memory and stuff like that, and where he's going next is not going to be a nice place. And we kind of see more of a sentimental side from Ben, well, from the killer, at the rest, and the lighting remains exactly the same. We just have prophetic fallacy of the wind and the clouds, and it was a really rainy day when we filmed it. So as it was being created, we kind of saw that would come across to the audience when, you know, lighting was concerned, and it was really natural.
Our next convention was location. Our first location out of the three main locations that we had was the location where the father wrote the will. It's an undisclosed location, mainly because it's unimportant. However, this focuses more on the props and the characters in the actual scene, so that's quite important. The other thing is that there's nothing else in the room but the character and the props, and two props. Now this shows that the character is alone, and that he's
alone and
isolated. Our second location was the location at which Danny was running away. Now, the location was big and open, lots of space, because it was a chase scene. However, then he ran into underneath a bridge, and this was tight and enclosed, so he was trapped, and he had no way of escaping the killer anymore. Our third and final location was a graveyard. Now, this is very good because it's a convention of thriller films to have that as a location. It also represents the death in the scene of which he is carrying Danny's dead body. However, this graveyard then leads up to a church. Now, the church shows that the death is sacrificial and that the killer also has a lighter side. The lighter side of the killer is then represented by the killer walking away and giving up his killing ways.
The next convention that I would be talking about is our killer, which was played by me. In our film, our killer is shown to have lots of power, mainly by his size, the fact that his suit is perfectly clean, despite walking through a muddy field, and the fact that he does not have to walk very quickly at all just to catch up with Danny, whose character is shown to have no power. There's an awful lot of mystery surrounding him, simply that the suit gives away no idea of his identity, and that fact that the mask is always hiding his face. In the thriller opening, you never actually see who he is, which, in the convention, would change it. Because in the normal convention, you would normally see who the killer was at the end, which also ties in with the red herring part. The black clothes show that he's an embodiment of death, whereas the white shirt could embody that he has a lighter side that you just don't see until the ending. And then the fact that he's always calm shows that he just doesn't really seem to care at all. And then when he puts Danny's body at the church, it shows that he does have a lighter side. And the fact that he throws away the pocket watch, which is, in our film, going to probably be the embodiment of death, shows that he just doesn't care for it anymore, the killing, I mean.
The next convention I'll be talking about is sound. On the scene where the victim is under the bridge, we can see the killer going across the bridge, and we can also hear the mud squelching into the pathway. It sounds really good, and it works with the conventions because it's scary, it's mysterious, and it really adds tension to what's going on around. Also, under the bridge, you can hear the panic breathing. It's really deep. It again shows that the character's scared. He's fearful for what's going on. Also, this panic breathing goes when he's running. Obviously, it makes it seem more realistic because when you're running, you do get out of breath, etc., etc. The final convention I'm going to talk about is narrative retardation. This is shown within our thriller film because due to the relationship between the killer and the victim. It seems as though the killer has a wrong incentive to be doing this killing, when actually we find out at the end that his incentive is more so that he has to do it rather than he wants to do it. Also, the fact that the mask is picked up by someone else, as is the timekeeping device, shows that it's an ongoing thing. It can never be stopped, really.